December was one of the warmest and driest on record in Bloomington-Normal. Some days it hardly felt like winter at all. Data from the National Weather Service show the average temperature last month was just over 38 degrees. That's the fourth warmest in the Twin Cities since record keeping began in the late 19th century. For the year, Bloomington-Normal ranked in the top 25% of warmest years. Peoria tied for its warmest year on record. The Twin Cities only got a trace of snow all month and is well below its average snowfall for the season. That could change, and in a big way as early as next week, but more on that in just a bit. Mike Albano is a meteorologist with the National Weather Service office in Lincoln. He tells WGLT's Eric Stock why the unusually mild winter stems from El Nino, which has ushered in warmer air from the Pacific.
We do happen to be in the midst of a moderate to strong El Nino. With that in mind, it's not uncommon for us to see warmer than normal temperatures through the winter. But December 2023, we just closed the books on. It was exceptionally warmer.
How long should we expect that trend to continue into 2024?
Well, I think long-term trends, we will expect the rest of the winter to fall a little bit warmer than what is considered normal from both a temperature standpoint, but also, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have less snow for the winter. But it's more of a temperature type global pattern that we're associating with the El Nino. So we expect to go through the rest of the winter on the warm side.
But we can look at temperature and snowfall totals differently then. There are different dynamics at play.
Yeah, I mean, just because we're above normal temperatures, that's what our forecast is for the remainder of the winter. You shouldn't necessarily correlate that with less snow. Now, that may well be the case with the more mild air mass in place. We have maybe more of a rain-snow mix, maybe more rain than snow. But there's always the possibility that we get that freak snowstorm that comes into place and can drop 6 to 10 inches to Peoria and Bloomington. Even in a strong El Nino year, that freak storm could still happen and put us about on par with where we should be on a snowfall basis from year to year.
And from what it sounds like, that could happen fairly soon. We'll get to that in a minute. But as you look at the snowfall totals and how they correlate with temperature or don't correlate, they are similar this year in that warmer temperatures have been accompanied by very low snow. We didn't get a white Christmas at all. Could this mean that we will end up just getting it later? It does seem that snow events are less common now in November and December, but now we're getting them well into the spring.
We did have a snowfall just after Thanksgiving time, November 25th, where the Peoria area did get a few inches of accumulating snow, but right now they're running about a 2-inch deficit for the winter. Bloomington did not get in on that post-Thanksgiving storm as much. They're running about a 5-inch deficit right now through the winter, but we could easily make that back in just one snowstorm.
And that snowstorm that you have alluded to could be coming next week. The National Weather Service has alerted us to what it calls an intense storm system that's expected to hit the Midwest next week. How bad could it get, and what are you looking at now as you anticipate this hitting our way?
Well, I think the main thing for folks to consider at this time range is that we're still a week out. The disturbance that we are tracking as it lies today, we're 7 days out, and this disturbance is about 5,500 miles away, located in the North Pacific, just northeast of Japan, really. So, I mean, this disturbance can wobble back and forth, even 100 or 200 miles, and it would dramatically change our forecast. We see the models, we see what they're putting out, which is a very, very strong, some would call it a powerhouse winter storm system that would certainly bring impacts to a good chunk of the central U.S., Illinois included. But at this time, we're still not sure how bad is going to be for the local area. It'd be like standing at the St. Louis Arch and throwing an empty glass Coca-Cola bottle into the river and trying to figure out 7 days from now, where's that Coke bottle going to be in the Mississippi? So Our models certainly, they're getting better year after year, decade to decade, but the science still is not perfect.
So it does sound like that there will likely be some degree of intensity to this, just a matter of how intense it will be and where specifically it will land?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You want to know our honest snowfall forecast for the Peoria, Bloomington-Normal area right now?
Sure.
It's anywhere from just under a half inch up to about 10 inches. So that, people are going to hear that and think, wow, that is an absurd forecast. What a crazy hedge that is. But that is the most honest forecast. We're sitting 7 days away right now from the event. So but we do expect there to be snow. We just don't know how much quite yet.
That was National Weather Service meteorologist Mike Albano with WGLT's Eric Stock. Albano says meteorologists will likely have a much clearer picture of next week's potential winter storm in a few days. Weather Service has also scheduled its first public webinar on storm anxiety. That'll be January 25th, a Thursday night at 6 p.m. Albano says many people have anxiety about driving over snow or ice-covered roads, but the Weather Service gets a higher volume of concern calls over the threat of severe weather. That can include tornadoes, straight-line winds, and flooding. Albano says the best way to address anxiety about the weather is to prepare for it.